The food was wrong, half-eaten, still warm, and Grandma had been dead for a week. Her granddaughter Mara noticed it the moment she stepped into the kitchen. A bowl of oatmeal on the counter, a spoon still damp. The freezer door was cold on the outside, but the ice cream she'd bought 2 days earlier was half gone, like someone had been grazing from it slowly, casually, the way you do when you live somewhere. The house had been locked. The alarm had been set. The windows were sealed shut against the February cold. And yet, Eleanor Wakefield had lived alone in that farmhouse for 40 years. After her husband died, she refused to sell, refused to move, refused every offer of help with the same quiet stubbornness her family had come to love and dread in equal measure. She tended her garden, watched her programs, called her grandchildren every Sunday at noon. Breath. When she passed in her sleep that February, it was peaceful, the kind of death families hope for, a woman in her 80s, in her own bed, no suffering. Mara flew in from Portland to handle the estate. She was the closest, geographically and emotionally. She knew the house the way you know a childhood place, the smell of the hall closet, the way the third step creaked, the particular sound the furnace made when it kicked on at night. She thought she knew that house completely. She was wrong about that. Mara arrived on a Tuesday. The gravel lane leading to the farmhouse was still icy, the trees stripped bare on either side, and the sky the particular shade of gray that makes you feel like the afternoon is already ending. She punched in the alarm code, same 4 digits for 20 years, and stepped inside. Breath. Everything looked normal at first. But the air was wrong, too warm for a house that had been empty 7 days. She checked the thermostat. It had been adjusted recently, nudged up from 58 to 64. She told herself Eleanor must have left it running. A malfunction. Logical. Then she found the kitchen. She stood at the counter for a long time, not touching anything, just looking at the oatmeal and the spoon and the smell of something recently cooked. She called her mother. Her mother said a neighbor probably had a spare key, had been checking on things. Easy explanation. Breath. But Eleanor hadn't kept a spare key with anyone. After a break-in attempt 3 years earlier, someone rattling the back door after midnight, she'd changed every lock and tracked every copy. Mara had the only spare in Portland, in a drawer. So she started looking. The basement first. Nothing unusual at a glance, boxes, a water heater, her grandfather's old chest freezer from deer season. But the floor near the far wall was wrong, drag marks in the dust, like something heavy had been moved and carefully moved back. She shifted the chest freezer. Behind it, a door, low, narrow, built into the stone foundation and painted the same gray as the wall, padlocked from the outside. She had never seen it in 30 years of visiting that house. The padlock was warm to the touch. She left the basement. She told herself she'd come back with her cousin Marcus. 2 people, daylight, the rational choice. She drove to a motel in town and sat on the edge of the bed and pulled out her phone. But it gets worse. Eleanor had installed a basic security camera system after the break-in. Just 2 feeds, front door and back. Mara had the app credentials. She opened the motion log. Breath. The back door sensor had triggered 212 times over the previous 8 months. Every single night, between 2 and 4 in the morning. She scrolled through the clips, hands shaking slightly. Each one was the same. The porch light flipping on, the dark yard, the tree line just at the edge of visibility. The sensor kept triggering close enough to trip it, but nothing in frame. Something standing just out of reach of the light, night after night, for 8 months. Breath. Then she found the October clip. The light came on, The yard held still. And then a figure walked directly across the frame, stepped up onto the porch, reached for the door handle, and went inside. Breath. The figure had a key. Mara called the sheriff. He drove out the next morning. In the basement, behind the hidden door, he found a room. Roughly 8 by 10 feet stone walls, a cot with folded blankets, canned food stacked neatly, a stack of paperback novels, spines cracked from use, a camping lantern, a chemical toilet. Someone had been living there. The canned food had sell-by dates going back to the previous spring. Here's the part nobody in the family can explain. Eleanor's phone records showed 11 calls to a blocked number in the last 4 months of her life. Short calls, under 3 minutes each. No voicemail trail. No way to trace who was on the other end. Breath. And on the day she died, she called Mara. Mara missed it. She'd listened to the voicemail at the time, heard what she thought was silence, and maybe breathing, and deleted it. Breath. She can't get it back. The sheriff found no forensic evidence that Eleanor had been harmed. Her death remained officially natural. The person who had lived in the basement was never identified. The room was cleared, and the door sealed with concrete. Breath. Mara spent the following week going through her grandmother's belongings. In a shoebox in the bedroom closet, tucked beneath old birthday cards, she found a handwritten note. Eleanor's handwriting, dated 3 months before she died. It read, "If something happens to me, check the basement. I invited them in. I thought they needed help. I was wrong." Mara posted the story online last year, under an alias, because she said she needed somewhere to put it, and she didn't think her family would believe the note. She said the hardest part isn't the hidden room, or the figure on the camera, or even the 8 months of nightly visits. The hardest part is the 11 phone calls. Because she thinks her grandmother was calling someone who knew, someone she'd told about the person in the basement, and whoever was on the other end of those calls either couldn't help her or chose not to. Breath. The farmhouse sold 6 months ago. The buyers were told about the room. They were not shown the note. There's no way to know if they've checked the motion logs. What do you think Eleanor meant? She invited them in, and then realized she was wrong. Was it someone she trusted who turned dangerous? Was she trying to protect them? Or by the end, did she understand exactly what she'd let inside? Leave your theory in the comments. The real answer, if there is one, is somewhere in those 11 phone calls. If stories like this one follow you home, the kind that surface at 2 a.m. when the house gets quiet, and you're not sure what you just heard, you might want Audible. Horror audiobooks are a different experience entirely, and right now you can get 30 days free at Audible.com. Ep free trial. Some of what's in there will make Eleanor's basement feel almost comfortable by comparison. Subscribe for a new nightmare every week, and save this video. The next time someone tells you old farmhouses are just drafty and creaky, you're going to want to pull this up.